In 2021, we're producing mass amounts of data and it's only ever going up. Today, we're diving into how you can monetize that data, be incentivized for it, and all you have to do is be a part of this platform. This is awesome, and this is one you're not going to miss. Welcome to Dirty for the Data. Today I have the absolute pleasure of welcoming today's guest, Adam Jones, the CEO and founder of Token Events. Thank you for joining us today, Adam, and I can't wait to get an insight on Token Events.
Thank you for having us, and I am happy to be on your show.
Awesome. So let's just kick it off and let's just dive straight into it. Do you just want to give us a little bit of a background and where you came from and what you previously did, sort of how you got here?
Yep. So I started out post-college in the insurance world, as it were, as an operations person, doing everything from swapping out servers to taking gold copies to the QA test room and breaking builds and breaking images on machines. And then as I kind of traversed through life, I was put into some executive training programs, startups, did some consultative work, and things really came to a head when I started to do consulting work inside of the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, where I was working inside of the belly of the beast, as it were, learning how quants worked inside of an exchange, how exchanges worked, and how a clearinghouse worked. And so as I got in and I was learning all the things that were going on inside of the exchange, that's when my mind opened up to a lot of the work that I was doing, through insurance to banking to some of the creative work I was doing, to seeing how it all kind of came together inside of the exchange. And then that sparked the idea with how to correct a lot of broken things inside of different commerce solutions. And one of them being one of the things that bothered me most was ticketing. And so the journey started in building our own mini constellation ledger. Our own like DAG style ledger, like Constellation is done, but clearly not to the extent that it was built with Constellation. But that was sort of the things we were riffing on in the early days. And as my career started to grow and as my thought process around creative tech, marketing sciences, and data sciences grew, the platform itself grew past this shade tree, like let's fix one small myopic part of the ecosystem, to how can we build a bigger platform where bigger things can work at a larger scale. And time and tech has caught up with my idea, and we're at a great inflection point to really launch and get out there.
Yeah, wow, that's awesome. You really took us on a bit of a journey there, and where you started and where you went, and it just seemed like all the stars kind of aligned for you, and like you said, you had to wait for the tech to catch up with your idea. So let's dive into how you sort of got integrated with Diggles and the conversations you had and how you started working with the Constellation team, because like you said, you started sort of creating your own directed acyclic graph structure.
Yeah, the Diggles connection was seriously, it's one of those like kind of cosmic things that happened to get all Constellation about it, right? It was, I got put into the venture program at RGA. I'm still an employee of RGA. I'm the senior technology director for the Austin office, but I live in Chicago. And my idea, I presented it to a few people, and they're like, "This is a really good idea." I went to ventures. They were like, "Let's go. Like, let's start meeting people and let's start having these discussions." And I had met a lot of people along the way, and I had a lot of really great like feedback, but it wasn't really going anywhere. And I was like, not at the end of my rope, but I was talking directly to Dylan Boyd exactly in the venture program. I was like, listen, I want to get connected with people that are one going to get it, and two will be invested in the idea and want to move past just saying like, great idea. Talk to me when it's completely done. And he's like, I've got just the guy. And he's like, Benjamin Biggles, you need to talk to him. And um, we had had a lot of meetings up until that point. And again, all great meetings, but people were a little bit scared of it because it's a pretty big thing to wrap your head around. And it's a um, pretty big bite to chew on, right? And what was great about meeting with Biggles was he said, are you guys excited? He's like, this is fantastic. I love it. Oh my God. Like, you
Awesome.
guys need to get this done tomorrow. Like, what are you waiting for? And I was like, wait, what? Because up until that point, we got a lot of like, this is fantastic. I wish you all of the luck because it's a big thing you're trying to do. And he didn't even blink at it. He was just like, you got to tell me you're excited about this because this is big. And I was like, yeah, I am. And he's like, great. And then from there, it's been nothing but great, from advisement to teaching and learning. And there are some things that it's a bi-directional conversation too, because there are some things that our team knows that he doesn't know, and he fills us in this space. Because to be honest, even though I was in the exchange and all that stuff, and I've worked in technology, and I've worked at like banks and in insurance. Um, I never would consider myself like a crypto guy, right? I know a ton about distributed ledger technology. I know a ton about the work that goes into it and building these systems. But I would never say that like, oh yeah, like I could give all kinds of crypto advice and all this, that, and the other. To me, it's the technology first, and then the crypto is a fast follow. And I love the actual practical application and the utility of it, and having utility tokens and being able to use that in the marketplace. Because from my seat, I am a technology person first, and those are some of the things that he helped unlock with us. Instead of looking at things in zeros and ones, and like getting bigger, broader, and understanding. And it's been a really fantastic experience with him so far, and it's really helped shape us and kind of mold us into a diamond when we were kind of this like nebulous lump of coal out there that had a good idea that didn't really have our thoughts around the right thing to do.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. So, like you said before, you had to wait for the technology to really catch up. So, inherent with the idea sort of being ahead of its time, did you really have some struggles and hurdles that you had to overcome to get to this point?
Yeah, I had a lot of struggles. I mean, so building your own ledger is no joke, um, and whenever I see, the work that goes out by Wyatt and the team, like I know firsthand how hard it is, right? Um, and with a lot of hard things comes a lot of people quitting on you. So I can't tell you how many different people have been in and out of the code base, and love them all. But doing something like this is not for the faint of heart, because there's going to be times when you start, things are running and things are looking great, and then someone goes, I'm out, or I can't do this anymore, or I need to be making money. Like, there's a lot of things that come with it, and it's okay, right? When you do these things from a DIY, do it yourself fashion, it's hard. Like, you're putting your own money and you're putting your own time. You're doing things, late in the evening, or you're doing things at weird hours and just trying to get things done. I mean, I couldn't imagine writing a white paper with anyone else but the team that is on this now, because like we are around the clock editing, we're around the clock making sure that things look good, we're bouncing ideas off of one another, and it's stressful. And it's when the idea is like, let's bring it to life, is the only thing that's the payoff. Some people just don't want to hang with that. And again, no hard feelings to those that have come and gone. But it's not for everyone, but what's really great about this is not freaking out and taking pause and thinking about the idea. And those starts and stops I've had along the way have actually been super beneficial for me because I know what I want to build.
Yeah.
I know when I'm right, and I know that like it's going to take time, and I know the payoff is there. Because if I would have like quickly gone down some of these paths, or just taking shortcuts and not have like sat back and really thought about it, we wouldn't be in a position we are today to have something great. So, you know, it's tough, you struggle, but it's worth it ultimately in the end.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. So let's dive into bringing this idea to life. So that was an awesome backstory, and let's get into token events and the fan token, and what is the problem that you guys are really trying to solve?
So the number one problem that we're trying to solve has nothing to do with any existing monoliths or ticketing firms or merchandise or anything that people think that this is directly related to. The number one thing that we are trying to solve and what we're trying to attack is complacency. Um, Up to this point, all of us have been very complacent and like, oh, I don't care where I get my tickets as long as I can go see this band or this show or this sports team or whatever, or I don't care where I buy my products. I just want it. But when you don't think about like people scamming the system, people using your data, selling your data. I mean, there are massive e-commerce solutions out there that make you pay them money to get things delivered to your door rather quickly to then take your data and then sell it to other people or allow kind of bad actors on their e-com platforms to then sell you counterfeit goods or things that aren't that great. And all that is just based on like throwing algorithms out there that are going to attack your data as a person and use that in a quick turn sales way and not really think about you or think about that data as like a living being that like has a certain like feeling towards something. And so I was just tired of the complacency and I was tired of seeing products that were, you know, like a $40 ticket being 400 because we were talking about this earlier, right? The whole scandal with like Ticketmaster having their bots buy up the tickets and then selling them more.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, it's like, it still happened and they're still in business because they got away with it because of complacency.
Mm-hmm.
The idea, the way I look at it is everybody is over it and everybody has the data in front of them and everyone understands the right thing to do is, and then as you're moving to a feeless, fast acting, acyclical world in a decentralized fashion, we all are on board to do better things as a society, and let's create that connective tissue that is going to live across all of those things. And like I said, it started out as this tiny seed of I'm going to just fix like local ticketing to the muscle fascia, as it were, the connective tissue around how the organism is really benefiting from that the connection, and then how the person is benefiting from that connection, and how you're moving past IoT into IOB, and how all of these things are rooted in that user journey, and that user should be rewarded for that journey.
Yeah, exactly.
They are ultimately the king and queen of what's going on, right? And so it's really imperative that we fix that problem, and the problem starts with complacency.
Yeah, that's awesome. And just to add some context to what you're saying, this sort of is the ultimate anti-scalping ticketing solution. And by 2025, they estimate that the ticketing industry will be worth $68 billion, and 42% of those sales are currently done by bots, and that's only increasing at 12% every year, which is leading to those highly inflated prices. And then if you even go to the secondary market of ticket sales, that's worth $15 billion. So like we said, how there was that scandal to do with Ticketmaster, and if they were using bots to buy their own tickets and then reselling them at a higher price, it's only going to be a forever growing issue until we sort it out. So I'm glad you're addressing
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I mean, and that's just one thing that we're addressing with the platform. You can probably take that example, copy and paste it across other other types of situations, like from merchandise to loyalty points
Yep.
to like look at the airlines, right? The loyalty point system in the airlines, it's confusing on purpose. It's not there to 100% benefit you. It's there to get you to jump through the hoops to like maybe possibly get that payoff. But you have to like go out to websites, you know, do the crazy math to try to get to the end goal, which is maybe a decent ticket someplace. But we're looking at all of these things and realizing that it has nothing to do with users' confusion, it has everything to do with, to this point, it's just been complacency and people accepting that, and we don't accept it. We're basically saying that we're going to fix it, and we're going to fix it um, with a groundswell of user support, because the power's in the numbers, and if everyone wants to change, there are plenty of businesses or plenty of like existing restaurants or airlines or you name it, or just different fan-oriented things that are going to want to be a part of a fan movement. I mean, not that this is like Uber, but if you would have told me in 2009 that the taxi organizations were going to evaporate, I would be like, how? And if somebody said, oh, we're just going to let people drive people around, I'd be like, well, that's never going to happen. And then now look at it, right? So we are at a place now, I think, as a society where we're ready to understand that like there is power to the people, and that we can definitely take it back and do better things with the data and reward each other for participating, right?
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, because of that complacency and the how fast tech is moving, it's kind of really opened up that industry for you to just move into. Like, I almost feel like I'm at an Oprah Winfrey show, and it's like you get a solution, you get a solution, you get a solution. Because now the technology's caught up and it's there, and you're really the first mover that's sort of diving in there and rewarding people for their data, their personal data, because it can be
Yeah.
used in like a million applications as well. Like.
Well, I mean, imagine if like you were a massive, I know, Chicago Blackhawks fan, and you go to every single Blackhawks game. I'm not just saying that because I'm wearing a Blackhawks shirt. Like the Blackhawks just played, and but anyway, so imagine like you would spend all that time and money invested in the team and doing that stuff, and you've accumulated all of this fan wealth, for the Blackhawks. Imagine if you could take all of that fandom, and maybe you don't need to do anything else in the Black Hawk realm. Maybe you convert that over to purchasing a ticket to go see them play in Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
Why not? Like, or you go and do something else with it, like, or you offer it or whatever. But the person that is at every single home game, like in the 300 level, to me is worth a million times more than the one person that is loaded with money that goes and buys seats on the glass for one game, right? That person that's a devoted fan should be rewarded for that. And then as they're walking through the stadium, or as they're participating in different vendors, or even outside of the stadium, like different restaurants or other people that are actively a part of the community, it should be rewarding them to then use their fandom for something greater. And that data, right? Let's be honest, data wins out across everything, right? And what we want to do is give you the power to say, like, I want my data to be used and I want to be rewarded for it. Or you tell me, no, I don't want my data to be used, and I will just use the application, or I'll use the platform, and I'll get minimum rewards, but that's okay too. And the way I look at it is that's completely fair, because if I want my data to be used and I want rewards, I'll gladly take the rewards. But if I don't want it and I know that it's going to be less of a reward for me, for me, and building this as a fan, that's more important than, like just like gobbling up all the data and then selling it to the highest bidder so you can have your PII and all your other stuff personally, you know, had ads thrown at it or like crazy algorithms that really aren't doing you any favors anyway as you move about your world.
Yeah, for sure. You're really targeting like the fish in the ocean and not the shark in a sea sort of thing.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's I couldn't have said it better.
Yeah.
See, that's Australia for you.
Yeah, there you go. We're out on an island surrounded by the ocean. So let's
You're
dive into,
correct.
yeah, that's right. So let's dive into how personal data is and can be used in sort of a physical application. So let's sort of put it at like a sporting event, concert, a festival, a business
Yeah.
event, anything like that.
Let's just give like some real world, just let's give a basic example. Um, let's say you're at Wrigley Field, because let's just keep it Chicago based, right? Let's say you're at Wrigley Field, you're sitting in the 200 section, like 219, and there's a lot of shade that day, right? Um, and the temperature drops from, let's say it was a nice 80-degree day for whatever reason, some clouds roll in, it drops down to 75, and in the shade it may be 65 or whatever. Now, a smart stadium with all the connections and all of the 5Gs and all of the pipes and all of those great things that everybody's doing doesn't know that section 219 gets a ton of wind coming in off the lake. It's super cold. I mean, it's sweatshirt weather, even though it may be an 80-degree day that dropped a little bit.
Yep.
It's just one of those things about living in Chicago. Now imagine a stadium that has detectors like for movement, right? Or has like the tracking devices. They're not necessarily tracking you as a person, but they're tracking that section. And they can see people getting up, going down, and maybe going into the foyer and walking into these different shops. So you're looking now at IoT, IOB, you're also looking at real-time data, and you're also looking at advertisements or looking at pushing data to a user from like a alchemy solution, right?
Yep.
So let's just parse through all those different things I was talking about. You have weather is a data point. The wind is a data point. You have the person sitting in 219. You may know that that person came with 3 children. You may know that that person comes to so many games, etc., etc. You see that person get up, and then they start to head down into the main area because you can basically track them based on their seat location and then the application that they're using and all the data that's being pumped through the stadium. They go down the steps. Alchemy has an ad buy out there for a sale on sweatshirts inside of the store.
Mm-hmm.
Then say it went from $65 to $45. Kind of a crazy sale, but whatever. They could immediately do that in real time because we're all on that same layer 0. The data is traffic copying through, and we're passing it back and forth, and again it has that person's like going on that walk, all of that data being transferred back and forth, and all of those little micro moments that are happening, it's actually putting money in their wallet based on like these people pinging it and seeing where they're going. That person looks at the ad, goes into the store, and then purchases that sweatshirt. Now everybody in that circuit gets the reward, right? And so you've broken it into user behavior, advertising, IOB, and IoT in a matter of microseconds, right?
Yeah.
And
Wow.
that's what you can live in a 5G pipe with. And again, I'm not making any of it up or not saying like that's a state we want to be in. That is a practical way to do things because everything I described is available with modern tech that's out there.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, it's not that far removed if done right. So that's just a tiny little bit of that. But I mean, other easier examples are, imagine a beer vendor, right, is running out of beer at a kiosk or a vending station, and everybody in like this one particular section is just crushing beers. You could use it to do the flow of beer to the vendor. It can do it's the connective tissue inside of the stadium to tell the beer people to move stuff there, or do the ebb and flow of products.
Yeah.
So you can do that as well. Or if things get real crazy, which does happen from time to time, if the POS systems go out, the actual physical ones that you type things in,
Mm-hmm.
you can run it directly to the POS back office tools and use that as your POS system. So the device itself could be the POS that then does the exchange with the POS, even if the POS goes out at student.
Yeah, wow. So I actually have a scenario where I think this would be perfectly applied. And when I was in Western Australia, I went to a gin event for Four Pillars, and I love gin. I'll drink it like a fish, And I went to this event, and because of COVID was around, we sort of had to stay at our seats. And through this application, like, they could have created or made that event just like so much better. You know what I mean? Like, walking in, there's data, like, if you give me two options and I pick one, creating data, through the application as well. Like, it sort of gives you that ability to even like get like table service, like stuff like that. Like, it's literally limitless. And because it's powered by Constellation and the Hypergraph Transfer Protocol, it's really like, there's no boundaries to where it can be applied. It's literally limitless. So that's awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, like, again, if you can think it, it can be done.
Sure.
It's really, it's not, none of what you're saying is out of bounds. I mean, the piping with 5G has caught up to everyone's mental model, and really now it's one of the things. Now the dog has caught the car; it doesn't know what to do with it, because a lot of these stadiums are like, yeah, we've got 5G, and everyone's like, okay, and everything is still like a 3G experience. Like, no one even got caught up to LTE yet.
Yep.
In a lot of these stadiums and a lot of these teams, or just like in general, just walking around in life, right? So we've caught the car. It's now, what do we do with it? Instead of asking what do we do with it, tell us, it's how do we create a platform to distribute the ideas in a cohesive way that actually will talk to one another and network with each other to actually benefit a user. Because like, everybody wants to build the next great thing, but no one thinks about the user first. And for what we're trying to do and what we're trying to leverage is user behavior and practical applications. And then from there, we'll think about like the crazy NFT or the neat thing to give them. But sometimes it may just be the appropriate signage in the right place at the right time, showing them wayfinding or showing them a way to navigate a stadium. Or maybe it's something that, based on that PII, or not the PII, based on that data that is encrypted, that lives off the hash, will tell us that they may want a hot dog, or maybe they are looking for a cab afterwards or whatever. There's so many ways that you can do this without like going like, it's going to think for you and it's going to send music to your brain. You don't have to go that crazy, right? You can just do things that are going to make users happy first and then jump from there.
That's right. And that's really the end goal, isn't it? If you can affect someone in a positive way, then that's really where it's infectious, and it really starts marketing itself. Because there's no way I'm going to go to the bar and not let everyone I know that I'm with, like, hey, you have the potential to get like offers, free drinks, like you can earn rewards for your data that you're producing, like all of that stuff. Like, even if I wasn't with friends and I was just like, there's a girl at the bar, you know what I mean? Like, what a discussion point, like, are you getting around these free drinks? Absolutely I am.
Well, right. And then, I mean, and the other thing too is like, there's going to be NFTs for everybody. NFTs are going to be a thing, or there's going to be like different types of giveaways, or all those things. Like, that's always going to be a thing. I don't think that anybody especially in the modern era we're walking into, is going to be like it's going to be a shock to them when that happens. But I think the things that are really going to unlock the magic and really unlock like true users are looking at this like, oh, I'm not really crypto curious, or I don't really understand like the crypto side of this, but like, what are the things that you're doing for me in a practical way that are actually making my life better? Awesome. I'm going to use this platform, and
Mm-hmm.
then maybe not. Or it's like, then you're going to have people like ourselves that are very conscious of what's going on, right? And they're going to like really dive in and like, we're going to see a lot of cool things get unlocked from those type of people, and that's cool too. So the way we look at this is like, how are we going to serve everyone and not just like the bleeding edge, right? And so the idea is we're on ramping a lot of folks into modern technology that happens to have crypto,
Yeah.
not not a crypto not a crypto focused solely servicing company that can't do anything else other than like produce cryptocurrency, or it just goes defunct. The idea is every, now that we've got the car, creating the connective tissue that's going to help everyone, not just like the crypto savvy.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You don't have to be crypto savvy to know that you're going to benefit from having this app, or, you don't need to know what's going on in the back end. But if we did go there, how is a single person's data monetized sort of in the background?
Yeah.
How does that look?
Yes. Yeah. So when our white paper comes out, there's going to be a lot going on in the tokenomics section around this. But essentially, like, to just dumb it down and make it as simple as possible, um, if I choose to interact with token and I choose to let token use my data, I know that it's going to be captured and it's going to be delivered through the state channel, and it's going to be all of the appropriate steps are going to be taken to make sure that that data is encrypted, verified, and good to go. That data itself is going to be completely bifurcated from the user. Nobody's going to know that it's Adam's data. No one's going to know, how it's being used or what it's being used for. But what we're doing is we're then letting people query the data. For example, advertising agencies or brands or people that are doing research, etc., would need to be opting in or paying in to query the data, and we're providing that service. And if I show up or you show up in that query set, you're going to get a reward, because, like I said, there are massive e-commerce companies out there that, do this anyway. They charge people and they use your data against you, and they're making money on top of money because people pay, they have services and all that other stuff. My point of view is like, no, 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 no. You're opting in for a decentralized solution where you should be rewarded, and I'm not going to in any way, shape, or form use your data against you. All I'm here to do is connect all of these disparate services, entities, and experiences. And any data you're providing me, you're going to get rewarded for. And any time that that data shows up out into the ether, or in a query, you're going to get a reward for that, because it has nothing to do with me wanting to pump your data out there or sell it. It has everything to me to do with you, how much you want to participate and how much you want to get rewarded. And we'll just facilitate the rest, and then we'll let it ride from there. And that's really how the data is going to be utilized in the back end.
That's crazy, because there's a lot of things when you sort of go into data, and because it's growing so fast, I guess like people aren't really aware of like how much it is used and what it's used for. So like, for example, yeah, like Amazon, their AI that's running in the background can already tell if your girlfriend's pregnant before she's even had the test, just because like the chemical changes that happen with you. And like if you're a Amazon user, you're going to start looking at things just that like tiny little bit differently that even you won't notice, but it'll be able to pick up and use it. And like other things like Grammarly, like
Yeah.
if you like, you can own your laptop or your computer, but if you're using Grammarly, it's like recording every single word that you type and put it in the server, and then it sells that data back. So like, even though you own your computer physically, or you own your laptop, do you really own it if everything that it produces in a digital world isn't controlled by you? Like,
Sure. Well, imagine a world not too far away where, uh, let's just say, what if all of your Amazon searches or all of your Amazon data, what if you were able to use like a single sign-on for, say, like token, right? And then as you single signed on to that stuff and you were that data, all those things you were searching and buying, what if you allowed us to store it and you made your money back from an Amazon that's actually taking your money?
yep,
And then over time we can help distribute that data to e-com services that are more decentralized, that live in a more let's just say like user-centric space, and the Amazons of the world don't have such a tight-knit hold on your data, and being able to just bank on you paying them to hand your data over to them when you're actually building the new ecosystem that e-com should live on. E-com should be servicing you, not the other way around.
yeah, exactly. And that Signal signature sign-on, that's huge because we use that for almost everything. If you have a Google account, just imagine how many things you sign into daily just with that.
So yeah, I mean, so we built out our single sign-on, and if I told you, all right, you can use our single sign-on and be rewarded, or you can use Google and then they can sell your data. I mean, which one are you going to use? I would go with the one that's going to give me the reward.
Every day of the week.
I mean, I'm such a big fan of Brave, right? The Brave browser, which was the RGA incubation, by the way. They were a part of the Adventures team.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They're part, yeah. I use Brave all the time because why? Just using my browser, I get like 15, $16 a month. I know Google's selling my data. So it's like, why would I take some compensation for what I'm doing out there on the internet? Almost like kind of the same space, same mentality.
Do you know what? I actually use this saying a lot, but it never really applies to anything that I'm saying at the time until now. But it literally costs you not to be on this platform because like you literally do nothing and you make or you're incentivized in the background autonomously for just living your life day to day. So it's really a no-brainer.
Right, exactly. I mean, to me, it seems really easy, but it's also, but this gets back to the complacency point.
Exactly.
We've been trained as humans, like this is what it's like over time. Like this is just how it is. Like this is the way it works. You just break that, and then people go, oh, so there are ways for me to do things differently, and this isn't hard. This is what I was doing anyway, and now I'm getting rewarded for it. Great, sign me up, and then they dip their toe in the water, and then they start to unlock some of the other things.
That's it.
And over time, I would just assume somebody would be perfectly fine sharing their data because it's only making them get more rewards, and it's also unlocking more and more things for them, either in stadium or just walking around in their daily life.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, Adam, let's talk about what's next for Token Events. I noticed you've got the beta on your website and people can sign up for that. Do you want to sort of dive into that?
Yeah, so right now we are working on different products. We have a lot of different things that we have in the hopper. The first thing that we're going to do, because it is the genesis of where it all jumped off, we're going to do ticketing out of the gate because it's easy, not easy to do, but it's easy to understand, right? It's easy to know that if I do X, Y is going to happen.
Yep.
It's also really easy for us to show a use case where it's like, oh, okay, so if we set the price at $40, it's going to stay at $40 because somebody can't go off and sell it in the secondary market. We're going to have control over the situation of the venue not getting ripped off, or the band or the sporting event not getting ripped off. We have a couple of different bands that we can work with. We have a couple different teams that we can work with and do some cool things with. So what we're going to do first is for the constellation community, we're going to do just an event just to show it, just to kind of like let it be known under friendly fire. And we're going to also do some, because you've got to, right? Because this is the crypto space. We're going to do some NFTs.
Yes.
But it's not going to be something where you purchase it. It's going to be a giveaway. But the idea is, I think what's going to be fun about this is it'll be our inaugural event. It'll be the first one. And maybe we'll do a couple different variations. We're going to have people give us their wallet, and we're just going to send them the NFT. And they can keep it, they can sell it, they can do whatever. But the idea with this is own a little bit of history. And, we are a fan-rooted technology firm, and what better fans to give the first inaugural poster to than the Constellation Fan Network, right? Because let's be honest, Constellations Network and the backers and the community is important, and they are a tight-knit, organized, and really fanatical community, and it's great to watch and it's great to see, and it also helps us stay motivated because just by watching the community, we know that we're onto something and we're onto something great. So why not reward them with the first cut or the first NFT or the first show poster from our event. So I think that'll be a fun way to show people what we're made of.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And like you said, the Constellation community is crazy. They're so smart. Yeah. They're writing articles daily, content creators like me, Mr. Digital, shout out. But yeah, it's crazy, hey.
Well, right. I mean, the whole reason why we created a press kit or a media kit was because we just spoke for 15 minutes the other day, and people were taking bits and pieces of our content and repurposing it and shaping it. And we're just this is great. Why don't we give the creators the tools to just go for it? And so we are excited. We are more excited than anyone to see our logo or our assets or our pictures or anything like that go out there, because it means a lot to us because we've been accepted in the community, and we are as big of fans as the creative stuff that the community's coming up with that we might not have thought of yet. And I love seeing it, and I love to see our name and our logos and our things get bended and twisted into different ways, because honestly, that's what fans do, right? And that's what the community does, and it makes us happy and proud, and it also makes us realize that we're in the right place to grow.
Yeah, for sure. And I've actually used some of that press kit with my boy Singblade. He's an absolute master, and he's sorted me out. But just to wrap everything up, Adam, let's just do a summary of everything that we've done. So the beautiful thing about token events is that it allows you to autonomously earn passive income while just living your day-to-day life. It gives the end user the power to not just be the product, but you're also benefiting from the byproduct, which is your data, and that is directly affecting you with incentives. It's improving your experiences, which is how it's infectious, and it's impacting you in a meaningful way. And that is really marketing itself. And from where I'm sitting, you do look like the Oprah Winfrey, mate. You're the modern day Robin Hood. And that's why I think token events will really succeed. And this is something that has huge potential, and it is going to meaningfully impact lives and improve it daily. And I can't wait to be a part of it. But while you have this platform, Adam, is there anything that you'd like to say? Any final statements?
So I would like to come back around to the journey, and I want to come back to that first thing we talked about, how it took a lot of time to get here, and it also took a lot of starts and stops or roadblocks or things like that. But I really want people to take a look at our website and look at the advisement that we were getting from everyone at our round table, because I want people to realize that we would not have gotten here, or we would not have gotten to this place if we weren't meticulous about the ideas and the spaces we were attacking and having the right conversations with the right people that wanted to be advisors for us. So my biggest point I want people to take away from all of this is we've done the time, we've done the homework, and it's been a slow roll, but we have put together the team and the advisement and the plan to really get out there and make waves right away. This isn't a flash in the pan. This is something that's been cultivated and thought thoroughly about, and we are super excited to unlock the next chapter and where we're going. And I want people to really start connecting the dots with some of these things I've been laying out there on Telegram and on Twitter and on the website, because there's a lot of things coming. It doesn't take much to put the dots together.
For sure. And while we're talking about it, with your advisors and stuff like that, do you mind if we just dive into it? Because you just released that today, and I've got the site up right now.
Yeah.
So this is your website. It looks super clean too, by the way. You've done a really good job. Why not start with Rob Cornish? So he is the technical.
You know what you should do?
Yeah.
This is what you should do first. Hit refresh.
Yep.
There's been some additions since we spoke.
Oh, you're kidding.
This is the team. Yeah. So this is more for you. This is the as we were talking, this got pushed up tonight. So this was kind of my little Easter egg to you. So this is the core team.
Awesome. I can't wait to get into it. It just threw out my highlights though.
I'm sorry.
No, that's all good. No, that's fine. We'll still make it work. So easy as. So let's dive into Adam Jones, the officer at Token. And today, Adam is the Senior Technology Director at RGA's Austin office, like you said. Prior to the RGA, Adam was a Director at Technology Huge Inc. in Chicago, where his focus is on all technology innovation across digital channels for McDonald's Corporation, with a main focus on voice automation through the drive-thru additionally. Whoa. Adams was a Director at Technology with Crispin Porter Bogusky. Yep. Where they built pizza cars for video games, and while managing a global engineering team across multiple disciplines with more than 20 years of experience. Adam has worked with several countries with brands such as Domino's, Fruit of a Loom, Kraft, Infinity, and finally Adam has 10 years of experience as a global tech manager for professional service and financial service firms such as CME, Bank of America, Zurich, and JP Morgan Chase. Whoa. How's that for some pedigree?
Yeah. Chris is better than I am.
You're kidding. All right. Chris Davis is the Chief Technology Officer of co-founder at Token, and his experience as a startup CTO in educational technology, a brain-computer interfaces that aims to make science accessible, while the other aims to give people telekinetic powers. Whoa.
He does some crazy brainwave work.
It's
insane.
For sure. That sounds crazy.
Yep.
So while at Huge Inc. Chicago under the direction of Adam Jones, Chris led the implementation efforts of voice automation through the drive-thru. Yep, just like you were saying. And Chris also has 15 years of experience in mobile, web, desktop, and gaming. He is thriving in intermixing technologies from BCI and IOTA to AR and VR. That's awesome. And Chris is a serious metal gaming anime fan. However, he'll never skip a chance to see an orchestra or a sports game. That's sick. Okay, Rich Davey. Let's get into it. So Rich Davey.
He's an Aussie.
Is he? There you go. Good bloke, obviously. So Rich Davey is the Chief Experience Officer at Token. Rich believes in putting the customer first, which is pretty much your ethos, and I love that. Mm-hmm. At the heart of the platform experience, with 20 years of international experience working with Fortune 100 companies, Rich explicitly understands the needs of the digital officer in his career. Rich has worked across industries such as sports, travel, tourism, QSR, and finance. He has extensive experience in helping companies with digital transformation and adopting a user-centered approach to their digital products. At Token, Rich is responsible for the customer experience, strategy, brand, marketing, and digital experiences of a fan of the English Premier League, Australian rugby, and wide range of music taste from Radiohead to Tycho. He also works in Chicago and has become a fan of all things Chicago sports. That's awesome. That's awesome. Obviously, the Bulls, they're going to be good this year. Mark my words.
Yep.
Okay.
All right,
Awesome.
now let's dig into advisement.
Wow, that was awesome. That was awesome. What a surprise. Okay, yeah, so Rob Cornish. So let's dive into him. So he's actually the chief technical advisor of Gemini.
Yeah, so Rob was the CTO of the New York Stock Exchange.
Yep.
And then he was the chief technical officer of Gemini. You might recognize Gemini from the Winklevoss twins and their purchase of Bitcoin.
Yeah, yeah.
He was the chief technology officer at Gemini. And he is our nuts and bolts crypto, financial, trading, trade desk, brokerage, you name it, advisor for all things, not only crypto, but the right way to approach any type of large scale, heavily implemented implementation of crypto-based technology. So he is going to give us all of that firepower and knowing everything from how a coin works to how a massive exchange works. So
Yeah, wow.
I'm really excited to have him on board.
That's crazy. Who's next? Matthew Davis is a New York City based product executive, brand leader, and creative technologist who led innovation programs at Warner Media and Nike globally, following the career in creating and scaling startups in media technology. Wow, that's awesome. Some big names there.
Matthew, actually, the early crypto kicks technology for Nike, the first NFT tech for Nike, way back, I think in 21. I'll make it the date wrong. It's in like the 2016, 2017.
Mm-hmm.
He was a part of that movement, and also at Warner, he's the innovation guy. So across not only the early stages of crypto tech and innovation, he and I are in violent agreement on like what we should be doing with decentralization as a society, and not looking this as like the next great like gold rush for NFTs. Like it's bigger than that.
Exactly.
So he really is a holistic thinker around what really does decentralization mean, and how you practically apply this to real things, and not just like try to make a bunch of money just because that's going to fizzle out, and you need to think of things. Things are bigger than just running out of money, or running out of NFT.
That's right. You're literally building the infrastructure for the future, and that's super exciting, isn't it?
Yep, exactly.
And then we've got Benjamin Diggles, the king.
Yeah. No one knows who Diggles is.
Yeah, for sure.
No, everyone knows. And so, as everyone knows, Diggles is the chief strategy officer for Constellation Network. He has a connection with RGA folks, with the entrepreneur in residence in their Portland office, and he worked at Oracle.
Yeah.
He is our strategy guru, and he keeps me grounded and makes me see past my own nose on a lot of things, and he's helped me really take a lot of the things that were living inside my brain and get them out on paper, or get them out in a more elegant fashion. I don't think that I would be nearly as prepared to have these type of conversations in a cohesive way if it wasn't for a lot of his guidance and tutelage.
Yeah, wow. Cool. So Dave Berg, let's dive into it. Is the co-founder and managing partner at Shepherd, an audience strategy firm based in Austin, Texas. Prior to forming Shepherd's unique blend of audience data and qualitative insights. He held director titles at some of the world's top advisory agencies, Wheaton and Kennedy, Crispin, Porter, Bogusky.
Crispin, Porter, and Bogusky.
Oh, there we go. Yep. And then RGA. He specializes in turning audience and customer insights into experiences to get an unfair share of advocacy. Domino's Pizza, Coca-Cola, and P&G Global are a few brands he's directed strategy on. In his spare time, he's a dad, rides dirt bikes, and works on the Bronco. Awesome. And listens to a ridiculous amount of Grateful Dead shows. Okay.
Yeah, Dave is he is a rare bird in this group where he is really rooted in brand strategy, audience insights, and he's the type of person that can look at data and find a lot of gold in like which direction you take the strategy. And he broke off from a traditional strategist role or planner role in traditional advertising sense, and he created his own company that is doing what whole departments are doing amongst a handful of people. And he really has his finger on the pulse of what to do with the data and how to build a strategy around it and how to build brand around data. I think his expertise is really crucial for how we're thinking about our marketing science stack, our audience insights, and really how to build our tribes and the tribal behavior around the data sets, how that's going to be utilized across other brands that may be interested in that data set.
Yeah, wow. That's crazy. Good on you, Dave. All right, next. Dylan Boyd. So he is the director at RGA Ventures, where he works with global brands, developing in-house partners. He works across sports, blockchain, health, pets, CPG, media, data, marketing, and other verticals. RGA is a global digital agency that creates early stage products, digital services, and experiences. He led his early growth of launches in the vertical accelerator programs like Sprint, Mobile Health, RGA, Connected Devices and IoT, Barclays, FinTech, whoa, that's a big one. Nike, Digital Health and Sport, that's another big one. And to follow that up with Disney Entertainment and Content. Does it get any bigger? And then we go to the LA Dodgers and Leap Mars Pet Care. And others. He's built startup companies, global e-commerce initiatives, online business solutions for large corporations, major brands with integrated content and strategy programs. He's also been honoured with creative and business awards, including 3 Inc. 505,000 awards. He lives and works obsessively in Portland, Oregon. Wow. How's that?
Yeah.
Huge names.
He has been very instrumental in connecting us with the right people. He is in the RGA Venture program, and he does a lot of coaching, talking me off the ledge, and helping me get my plan together and really who I should be partnering with and how we should be rolling this out, and really helping me think about what this company is, how we do things, and who we want to be. And he has been really instrumental in connecting me to the right people. So instrumental. Guess who introduced me to Benjamin Diggle? Dylan Boyd.
Dylan Boyd, so there you go.
He's the ultimate connector of dots. Nobody in their right mind would have probably made the connection that he would have made, and he was very instrumental in us connecting with Diggles and making sure that the love connection was there and that they really made sense, because without that foresight, we wouldn't be talking to you right now, right? We'd still be building things on our own and doing it the hard way. So he's very important for helping us connect the dots.
Yeah.
And in really seeing the bigger picture, because he clearly, you can see the big picture.
Yeah, big shout out to Dylan. And I guess that really led to your success as well, because if you guys were still building that DAG, you kind of wouldn't really be focusing as much as you can now, because you're better utilized to focus on the product at hand and better utilize your people, while Constellation look after that infrastructure, which is the hypergraph transfer protocol. So,
Yep, you nailed it.
man,
Dylan's the linchpin.
Yeah, there you go. Tim Moss, here we go. This is my personal favorite for sure. So Tim Moss is Faith No More, Mastodon, and Mike Payton's tour manager, and he also plays guitar for the San Francisco band Porn. His previous bands include Ritual Device. Man, Tim seems like a very interesting character.
Tim has been in the music business like forever and a day. Like, he was one of the first people to book Nirvana in Omaha, Nebraska before they broke.
Oh, you're kidding? Yeah.
Yeah, so Tim is one of the smartest, kindest, like, well-versed person that can explain to you the ins and outs of what it means to be in a band, or what it means to tour as a band. What does the road look like? What does a venue look like? What are the pitfalls to, like booking or not booking? And he can tell you all of like the ins and outs of how it works. Like, it's really important to understand from a musical standpoint. And we're gonna probably pull in a couple of sports folks somewhere down the line. That's kind of an Easter egg for later.
Mm-hmm.
But from the music standpoint, and from understanding not only like a person that's been in bands or looking for bands or has actually lived the road life, he is our catalyst into understanding what, how does merch get on the table? How does it get sold? What does it mean to the user? What does it mean for the band? And just all of those little things that you need to understand, because you can think you know, but until you live that life, there's no way to like really wrap your head around all of the ways that these things happen and how it gets unlocked. And so he's very crucial for us to understand really the back office of how all of these things work, right?
Yeah.
And so as we start to look at this team, and as you look at the round table, we don't overlap. There's no one at this table of advisement that you're like, you guys have like 3 of this guy and 2 of this guy. The idea was to get the right folks to inform us and to coach us and teach us like what we should be doing, because again, we're focusing on the user and we're not focusing on the one aspect, and we want this thing to be representative of the user and all the different ways that user is going to be using our product. And we want almost like a cabinet of people from varied points of view to get us to the right product for the user.
Yeah. Do you know what's awesome? I just thought of this then on the go. So this is really off the cuff. But could you imagine, because like when you're performing and you got big names like Faith No More and Mastodon, like obviously there's going to be an encore at the end. Like imagine if you could couple the encore with, if you're on your platform, you can also get a tokenized NFT for the encore of whatever they're going to play. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Or like you could pay for set lists. You can do all that stuff.
Yeah,
right?
Limitless possibilities. All right, let's go on to... Yeah. Let's go on to Scott. So Scott is a serial entrepreneur with 20 years experience in building, scaling, selling companies in the B2B, is that SaaS? SaaS space?
SaaS, software as a SaaS, software as a service.
Software as a service space. There you go.
Yeah. So if you've ever gotten a push notification to your phone, chances are he was involved. He has a extensive portfolio of just awesome things that he has done. He was the CEO at Urban Airship, like I said, push messaging to your phone, SMS, and he has, like I said, he has built startups from scratch and also advised startups and helped navigate them through early stages onto their growth stages. So I really look to him to help me understand how to do this well, and teach me and show me any pitfalls along the way, things to avoid or things to watch out for. You're really going to lean in on him around like, is our tokenomics model right? Are we doing the right thing? You know, what should we do in this type of situation? Because he's built these companies and he's done these things right. And we found this out oddly last week when they said he was going to be presenting in the flight program. We didn't actually know that.
Yeah, wow.
So weirdly, we had approached him to be on the board, and then now he's going to be doing a class day with the flight program. So it's kind of cool to be like, hey, Scott's also on our board, and he's teaching this class. This is cool. So people will see in real time why we approached him to participate, because he's great. And, we're really excited to get his guidance and learn from him.
Yeah, for sure. Push notification on the phones. Jeez, that's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
So
Andrew
Perlmutter, my bad. So he has served as the president of Funko Inc. Well, that's a big one. They're everywhere, aren't they?
Yes, Funko's everywhere. He will be the CEO of Funko in January. The current CEO is going to step down into a different role, and he's going to take over. Andrew is super important for us to understand licensing, fandom, the ins and the outs of NFTs. He is currently, they purchased their own NFT provider, their own NFT wallet, and so they're in the early growth stages of what does that mean, what do the users want, how do they interact with it, and so we're going to be leaning in on him, and then Funko is a company built on fandom.
Yeah, for sure.
Everything that they put out is something somebody's a fan of, and so it's just a natural fit. And it also doesn't hurt that Andrew and I played rugby together and had a relationship before this, and I was able to reach out to him early on and ask him if it would be okay if he would help advise us in some of this fandom stuff. And so, you know, I'm really thankful that he hopped on because he's busy. They make anything from those Funko Pops, which are those little vinyl dolls, to board games and video games and cereals. It's crazy the amount of products they have in the market, and so for us it's really good to see and learn from a guy like that, where they were physical for so long, and then now they're starting to ink into digital, and we're starting in digital, and we're going to be that connective tissue in the physical space. So it's like, how do we learn from you? Like, what happened, and how did you adjust? And so it's really going to be fun to learn how they navigated the fan space when they started as a digital or a physical product, and they're now heading into the digital landscape. So super excited to learn more from him as well.
Yeah, wow. This is crazy.
And like I said, we don't get to this part of the journey if we didn't take our time and think about the problem and focus on the problem and get the answer or get the technology right to get these folks on board to understand our vision. So super excited that all of those pain points that we talked about earlier have really paid off, and these folks coming on board to help us out.
Yeah, wow, that's awesome. So thanks Adam, for taking the time out of your day to do this interview with me. I've seriously been blown away from everything, from like the limitless applications that you can be applied in, how much data we use, what's going on in the back end, putting it all together in a practical sense and a physical scenario, to looking at the advisors and a few little Easter eggs at the end there. Thank you for coming on to Dirty for the Data, and I'm happy to have you, and hopefully we can do this again in the future.
Well, hopefully in the future it's something even bigger than just a few advisors done on a webpage. But I'm happy to talk anytime.
Sounds awesome. Let's kick it and rip it. Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in to Dirty for the Data. If you like the content, make sure you like, subscribe, chuck a comment down the bottom. Tell us what you like, what you did like, what you want next from Adam. Let's do it. Thank you.
Thank you.